Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Candid show. You are listening to the podcast hosted by Sriram and Krishna. So today we are going to discuss about a sensitive topic which the Indian population is hesitant to speak about. So women undergo a lot of hardships and struggles in their life on their path to success, and most of the successful women as well must have encountered some kind of sexual harassment either in their workplace or in their domestic environment. So today we are going to have a deep in-depth discussion about the topic rape culture and its adjoining impacts on the Indian society. So first off, I'd like to clear the air on what the rape culture terms actually is, since most of the people don't have a clear idea on what it is. So basically, the normalizing or trivializing the rape cases which happen every day, or the case or the thing where we treat every single piece of information as a news every day, that is what is called rape culture in short. So as you all know, I'm a very firm believer of numbers, so I'd like to ask Krishna to present a few statistics about the recent rape cases for the past 10 years or the past 8 years.
Yeah, to speak about the statistics which I have right now, according to the NCRB data, 4,15,786 rape cases were reported in across India between 2001 to 2019. So, like in the first decade, we have about 1,50,000 cases, which nearly doubled in the next decade. So, like on an average, every 15 minutes a woman gets raped in India. So this is a difficult situation we are facing around us in our society. So I hope the status of living of women and their security becomes more strong in the upcoming days, and the according to the governmental decisions and more. So I hope
Yeah.
our country develops more in the upcoming decade, and we must try to reduce all these cases by taking necessary precautions, and all the women must stay safe from such kind of crimes happening in our society.
Okay, and Krishna, I also got some of the a few of the most what do you say most important stats, I guess. So one of it is that rape is the fourth most common crime in India, and also for the fact that there are approximately 93% of the cases that are committed by someone close to the victim, and also that 75% of these incidents never get reported. So on this special note, we are going to talk about this especially problem which we have later in the episode.
So yeah. So Siram, do you think all these crimes, mainly talking about rape, do you think there is a root problem, or there is some motive behind these crimes?
So I think fundamental reason or the root problem behind rape, especially in India, I think is the unequal distribution of power, because we already know power balance or the power distribution in
Hmm.
India or various governmental bodies is definitely not uniform, because it is basically still India is being a men dominated society where men basically have control over most of the governmental decisions, and even private bodies men are sometimes be the CEO or COO, and women generally are in a very few spots only. So I feel the prime reason is for the rape cases or some of these incidents to happen, I think, is because of the reason that there is an unequal distribution of power
Hmm.
amongst the Indian government as well as the private sectors. And
Yeah.
the yeah, go ahead, Krishna.
Yeah, in each and every sector, the male dominance is clearly visible, as the most of the men in a country, not in only in a country, across the world, most of the men think that women's are like second degree category to them. So always men try to
Yeah.
try to dominate the women, and so but this is a very big problem, and this mindset must be changed,
Yeah.
and all must realize that all human beings are the same and have their right to voice out their opinions, and live free in the society. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Krishna. As you told, the heavily dominant patriarchal society is definitely one of the more driving reasons for these cases to increase every single day. And I think the one other way which you could look at is that the independence of the woman every single day is definitely scary to some of these men, because I think some of these men are still living in the prehistoric age or still in the historical age where they don't want women to progress in life, or they always want women to be in their home or in their household, always stay in their home, take care of the family, and do all of these gender roles which you have already prescribed to them by the older generations. So I
Yeah.
think the independency of women is definitely scary to men, and that is definitely one of the more reasons I think whereas these cases increase every single day.
Yeah, that is the main problem where every men think that the women's are only eligible for cooking and household doing household work. So
Yeah,
this mentality must mainly be changed in our country, as this is a false assumption that women are incapable of doing other jobs that men are capable. So both are
yeah,
for me are capable for doing every job given in a perfect manner, so as depending upon their capability and their strength. So
definitely.
no one is superior or inferior than any other in the community, and this must be made as a general acceptance in the near coming future. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think one of the more reasons could be that the way in which the boys were grew up, or way in which we were especially grown up, because I think fundamentally while we grow up, we were kind of forced with the intention that you're supposed to be manly, you're supposed to be extremely strong, you're not supposed to show any kind of an emotional side. Since you're a man, you have to take care of yours, you have these all kind of responsibilities. So I think fundamentally we were
Yes.
raised in a way where we were forced to think that we are kind of the dominant person on this earth, like where we were meant to, we were like, since we were basically told from the younger childhood that we were supposed to take care of the house. I think that huge kind of responsibility which initially had on our which were fed into our minds at a younger age, I think kind of developed into kind of what do you say, maybe an arrogance, I would say, or maybe a big ego, which
Yeah.
especially men have, I think. So I think partially the way we fundamentally grew up could also be one of the more reasons for these cases to increase every single day.
Yeah, that also impacts the later period of a woman where from childhood a man is told to work hard and look after the family, whereas the woman is told to like to maintain the family and study
Yeah,
well. So after which certain period of time in our country, like basically in country like India, most of the women after pursuing their degree or so, most of the women don't go to work, and so they are being arranged for a marriage, and their
yeah,
lives takes a next uh, important path. So most of the women, so like about 80% of the women across India don't go to work because of this superiority and inferiority complex. So I think all women are capable of doing all sort of work in
yeah,
all sort of fields, like even in airways, and yeah, and more like that like even they are capable of doing anything. So that all
yeah.
depends upon their strength and their eligibility. So yes.
Yeah, definitely, Krishna. As you told, yeah, they are definitely capable of doing anything in this world, and I think the norms in our in the older generations are, as we have been following everything, we just don't want to break our stereotypic norms. We always want to keep doing the same thing. I think most of these older generations, I think, especially the society, I think in general, does not want to be progressive at all. And especially about the Indian society in general, we stick to these old cultures and practices, and we just don't want them to move on. We even still many of the older people or older generations still don't like women being independent, because I think they kind of inherently think that women are meant to be at home, just like you said. So I think the
Yeah.
older generation especially is having a impact on the younger generation, stating that maybe women are generally supposed to stay in their home. I think because since they are not as progressive as the younger generation, I think older generation is partially to blame for the women still staying at home or still not able to come out.
Yeah, this mentality must be changed, as the older generations think that always women is fit to only do the household works, and
Yeah,
men are only those who go out and do all sorts of work. So like this type of freedom is not a freedom actually. From according to me, a freedom is that each and every human being must have their rights to do anything they want, and anything they wish, and
yeah,
they must be led to their passion and not to the mindset where everybody thinks this is right and this is wrong. So
definitely.
women's also have the rights and the freedom to do anything and everything they want. Yeah.
Definitely, Krishna, and I also think like I want to just close about this topic soon. So I think these getting married at a younger age, as you told, I think that is also a very big reason for this. I think since most of these families are completely orthodox, so they have these certain norms and cultures which they have from years and years ago, that their daughter has to get married early, so they marry her off before even she completes college. In some cases, before even while they, and even child marriage is still kind of is the trend which is going on in some of
Yes,
these
that
rural
yeah.
areas, in these
Yeah.
backward areas, I think. So that is also maybe one of the reasons which I wanted to point out earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the women get married like in about 18 years of age. So this is a very big problem that we are facing, that they must choose when to marry or not. So not according to any compulsion or family pressure. So
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
definitely. So yeah, Krishna, I think we'll move on to the fact that once this actual incident happens, when any woman or any victim tries to come out, the impact which society or the impact society has on her, or the kind of trouble which she has to face while trying to report it to any kind of a judicial system, police, or anywhere, is definitely, I think, very cruel as of right now. So what do you think about that?
The main problem is that victim, after facing such a crime, faces undergoes a lot of problems mentally than physically, as they have most of the victims are having a fear of the society, they would slut shame them and brand them as sluts. So this is
Yeah,
the main fear of all the victims, all the rape victims across our country, as they are in a fear where the society would blame them for the crime happened. So this is a wrong mentality of the society that I am
definitely.
pointing to, that all of us should not blame the victim. We must blame the ones who is guilty of the crime. So most of the victims face this fear, so they don't come up
Yeah.
and report such crimes happening around in our society. Yes.
Yeah, definitely the society is very harsh on women who actually try to come out and report it, because it take personally take I think I can't feel any kind of pain which the woman has to go through, but I think definitely it is going to be incredibly hard to battle against the odds of the society, had to face constant slut shaming on social media as well, in a public area near your home. Sometimes even your own family kind of does not allow you to go
Yeah,
and report it.
even friends and relatives and those neighbors and all of the people around the women associated with the particular victim, particular women, slut shames them and
Yeah.
blames them for the crime associated in their community. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be something which I think we as a society has to have to definitely move on, or definitely try to stop doing, because I think as the cases daily increase in India, I think we have to develop a kind of a mentality where we kind of support the women, or kind of support the women, support the victims, especially who have
Yeah.
been through something so traumatic which they will probably never forget in their life. So I think we as a society should collectively learn to be more accepting of the women who have been through such kind of pain and trouble, and I think we have to be more forgiving to them. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to be so kind to them and not blame them always. So we must
Yeah.
support the victims and must get them the proper justice. So now, speaking about the origin of such crimes in our country, do you think uh, the root cause is that the parents or the educational system, where they don't teach the student a particular type of knowledge in like sex education, so
Mm.
which is a very hesitant topic to speak about, like in a
Yeah.
country. That is the mindset of each and every educational institution. Like even in biology subjects, like biology,
Yeah.
the teacher hesitates to teach about concerned topics, like in sexual parts or the parts of the body. So like this must be mainly changed in a country to change the situation, or the to reduce the crimes and make awareness among the students right from the beginning in the schools. So this must be included in the syllabus, like sex education must be a
Yeah.
part of the education. So
Def-
what do you think can be done according to this?
Definitely, the parents and the education systems definitely have a lot of the responsibility in their hand, considering since the children at the very young age start getting influence from social media and all kinds of platforms these days. So I think definitely parents, especially, I think have a much bigger hand at controlling their children, or at least having a constant watch on what they are observing on social media on a day-to-day basis. I think because parents entirely shape the children's future in one way or the another. I think the next best stop after the parent is definitely the school, because school is the second most time where a person where the children where the child spends his day most of the time, like around 7 to 8 hours. So I think school is also very structurally important in educating the child about certain things which he must know at that kind of an age, especially I think. Because I think especially me and Krishna, we have both good parents. We had exceptional parents. They taught us well. I think so that is why how we are right now. But I think most of the parents are negligent in their duties. I think since they don't, most of them don't even realize that this is one of their responsibilities. So and also the education system definitely should add sex education as one of their courses in their syllabus, and not make it in the term of getting marks or trying to score a grade out of it, because if that is also changed into a grading kind of a system, and I think so definitely the student is not going to read it for the sake of understanding it and only for the sake of scoring it. So I think one of the big problems in Indian
Mm.
education system especially is that they try to make everything in terms of marks and grades, and nothing is basically in terms of knowledge learning. So I think even if they try to bring something like such education into the mainstream, so definitely I think they should make it like an optional course, or not, or in the sense like make it a course where it is not awarded any kind of a grade points, and it is something which every student must definitely compulsorily take. And I think that is something which the school education system must definitely do ASAP to
Yeah.
actually educate the children on certain what do you say, certain basic things which they must have an idea on.
So yeah, like which parts of the body are yeah, which are important for men's and women's. They must teach them the
Yeah,
basic knowledge about the sex education, where as a human we learn everything in evolution. So from the beginning, like in schools, they must teach the sex education. As you said, they must not include it as an uh, score based system, like giving the marks to the subjects like this. So
yeah,
this must be made like a session which is taught by a teacher or mentor, like once in a week, or like they must include it like PT, how the PT and
exactly,
sports
yeah,
period happen in all the schools. So this must be like one part of it. So like in each and every week the students must learn these basic knowledges about sex education. And
yeah,
more than the education, however you teach, the students would understand uh, what is this and what is the topic that they are teaching. More
yeah,
than the education, they must teach how to respect each other, how to respect, like for male kids, like a boy, they have to teach how to respect a fellow being, like how to treat and how to
yeah,
behave in front of a girl, like even for the girls, how to behave in front of the boys. So like respectively they have to teach each and every
definitely,
part of the students. So this must be made mandatory, and I hope a law comes soon abiding our rules. So yeah, I think
yeah.
this education is as important as any other education, as this would help in reducing such crimes happening in our society. Yeah.
Definitely, Krishna, because I think fundamentally we have a stereotypic mentality, especially the Indian society. I think is very stereotypic towards sex or any kind of a thing which we read in schools, or because from the very young age we start reading it about in schools. I think, and most of them are basically hesitant to speak about it. They are kind of guilty to speak about it. They don't want to speak about it, even though it is something which it's kind of necessary for life or for the continuation of human survival. I think that is such a fundamental thing, and I don't understand why the Indian population is so hesitant to speak about something so fundamental. Because I think that one of the more reasons for that might, I think that the way we were brought up, especially I think since we were all since we the most of our grandparents might be orthodox, or even our parents might be
Yeah.
a little bit orthodoxic, I think so. they kind of think talking about all this stuff is kind of unnecessary right now, or there isn't a need for this to speak about right now. And I think in that way the parents kind of fundamentally plant the idea in your head that you don't need to speak about stuff like this, and it is like they kind of like brain tune you in a way where there is no need for you to speak
Yeah,
about this. But I think every single person should kind of have a basic idea about sex education. They
yeah,
should know their things before they, especially they need to have some kind of respect for one another, because I think for any kind of relationship or for any kind of a thing to exist, or a friendship or whatever it matters, I think you need to have some kind of respect for the other person, I think. And the way you tend to give the respect to the other person is what education teaches you, because at the end of the day education is all about improving character, having discipline, and not about things which you learn, etc., etc. So I think fundamentally the education system needs to have a complete rework. And even if something like that definitely happens, so we will be definitely positive that people definitely get educated and these cases will definitely stop happening, I think.
yeah. As you told, it is right that respecting the fellow beings are important, and mostly speaking about the educations and parental guidance, where as you told, the parent is the main part of the child's life, where they shape them and
Yeah,
make them into a better person in the community. So this parent ignorance about talking about such topics, teaching their child how to behave, or about the sex education, I think our parents would follow the words of our grandparents, who
yeah,
even has
definitely.
not been taught about such in their schools. Most of our grandparents would be uneducated, so I don't blame them, but situation changes according to time, and they
Definitely,
have
yeah.
to teach them what is good and what is bad. This is very essential to the child, while he won't understand it now, but
Yeah,
he would understand their importance and their teachings about such topics while they grow up, and they will start teaching their kids. So, and this must be something made from the fundamental, like all the
yeah,
parents must teach their child to respect their fellow beings, and
yeah,
how to behave in front of a girl or a woman.
yeah.
Yeah, this must be the important topics, one of the important topics the parents must teach their child. More than the education, more than the marks you get, your behavior and your attitude speaks everything, and
Definitely.
this must be a very important part in parents' life to do in their child. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think because at the end of the day, education is going to be something which, because it's going to teach you how to behave in a society, how to live in a society. You don't need to use the concepts you learn in school in everyday life. That is not why you go to school. I think the primary reason you go to school is to be, is to how is to you learn the fact that how to live in a social environment, how do you interact with the one another, how do you maintain friendships, how do you have discipline, how do you maintain punctuality. So I think this is the end product of someone actually going to school. So at the end of the day, all of this also comes into account into a person's character when they go get out of school, I think. And definitely the schools need to have a holistic remodel, or they need to focus more on holistic approach rather than being theoretical all the time. And I think this kind of holistic approach definitely will make a difference in our youth, or in the upcoming youth, definitely. Yeah,
yeah. The we must also, as students of college, we must also create awareness in the public,
yeah,
how to teach their child proper manners, and a boy learns everything in his childhood rather than in his adult age. So basically, considering these crimes, all the persons who are who are like guilty about the crimes, or those who doesn't have a proper parental guidance in their childhood. So
yeah,
I think all the parents play a key role in molding their shaping their child's life. So yes, we must also create awareness for those parents who hesitate to teach their
definitely.
child proper manner and proper behavior. More than talking like manner or behavior, that is something basic and should be followed by each and every individual. That is not the point. They have to teach about sex education.
Yeah,
Basically, the
definitely.
parents not like strict education, but like this should be mandatory to all the child in the home. Like they
Yep.
have to follow some manners to how to behave with fellow being, not only to a women, not only to a boy, not only to anyone, to everyone. They have to behave in such a proper manner where
Yep.
they will learn a lot of things, and they will try to realize the importance of our fellow beings in our society. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Krishna. You put it in a very beautiful way, and I think we had a very depth discussion about the education issues and parents. And I think now we'll move on to the media or the journalism's impact on these rape cases or the way how they are being reported. So, Krishna, what do you think about that?
So basically, talking about the judiciary system, most of the medias, like most of the channels, fail to cover each and every crime, like each and every rape case happening in a society. As we told earlier, every age group of women gets raped in about an hour in our society. So, like
Yeah,
each and every 15 minutes, a child gets raped. So speaking of about child, which I told now, so women starting from the age of like 1 to the age of 50 are facing the main problem of rape. So it is
yeah,
the duty of the media, or it is duty of the journalists or the news channel to spread awareness and to spread these news as much as people as possible. As media is the powerful weapon in our
yeah,
society right now, considering the publicity. And so these cases must be spoke over to all the people of our country, and big
yeah,
medias like Republic and NDTV. I am just naming out some, but all the national medias must concentrate on news
definitely.
like rape and such crimes. So these are the main problems we are facing right now, and we as in this generation must make sure all the medias must cover this news, as they are the only way of publicity, like awareness to the general public. Yeah.
Yeah, Krishna, as you told, yeah, definitely the media is such an integrating force in our country because they can definitely take a message from one corner of the world and transmit it to the other part of the world. So, in that way, I think media definitely has a very big responsibility on their shoulder. And I also think that the judicial system in India, especially, is definitely not up to the mark. There are a lot of flaws in it because I think one of the primary examples to consider is the Nirbhaya case, especially because we all must be aware how long it
Yeah.
took for it to get justice. There was nearly 10 to 12 years of ongoing battle for the family, and I don't even imagine how much resource it would have taken because I think the amount of resources to carry out such a long trial to get justice will be definitely is going to be very very high. So I think in that way the amount of resources which a person needs or a common family needs to push their case through trial or actually get justice at the end of the day, I think is extremely high. It is skyrocketing, and I think the lawyers or most of the Supreme Court officials or especially the judicial system must think about the common man or the family who is not able to afford certain resources to actually push their cases towards court. And also I think the police force especially is very corrupt and bureaucratic because I think
Yeah.
they have connections with some of these big rich families, and if any kind of a case pops up in these rich families, so they basically end it off. They basically get bribed and they try to shut off the case without even making it to investigation. And sometimes even the victim is forced to marry the rapist because the family's reputation shouldn't get smeared. So in that way I think the
Yeah.
police is also kind of instrumental in making the judicial system a little bit bad. And the whole justice system in whole total is definitely shambolic in a way because there is definitely no proper functioning. And in that way I think the judicial system kind of needs a revamp, but I don't think it is going to happen anytime soon because I think it is such a big thing, or the constitution of India, it is in the constitution. So I think that kind of a change is definitely a long way from now. So I think that these are the kind of the two or fewer more flaws I think in our judicial system which kind of prevents us to get justice or even prevent these cases from ever even happening. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking about the judicial system, the systems in other country, like the judicial systems of other countries like Saudi Arabia and America and England. So speaking of these countries, they have a proper way to deal these crimes happening around their country. So we
Yeah,
must also improve by inspiring them, and we must also make sure the people gets the proper news about the crimes associated, and
yeah,
speaking of which, the media have to cover more news, like they have to cover all these cases, like all these crimes of rapes happening in a country, as we know our society is intolerant to cases like crimes like these. So
yeah, 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 yeah,
they would surely voice out their views, and they would come in an outrageous mode, and they would protest in public. So they would do
yeah,
all these protests only if they come to know such a crime is happened in their
definitely, yeah,
surroundings. So for their knowledge, for their knowledge, they have to all the media. I am requesting all the media personalities to express and to cover and to create awareness of these crimes, and give a
yeah,
proper justice for the victim and their associated family. Yeah.
yeah. So as we
Now,
are,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, go ahead. As we are
yeah.
nearing
Now,
to the end, yeah, go ahead, Krishna, go ahead.
yeah. Now, speaking of the media, don't you think, Shiram, all these media pages like in Instagram, in Facebook, in Twitter, all these adult pages, which intend to entertain the people, they post all these double meaning posts which are insulting for a woman. So don't you think these are a bad example for the society? And don't you think these medias and these pages don't think about the kids who are seeing those posts, and getting a bad influence from?
Yeah, I think definitely these meme pages and especially social media in general is definitely very homophobic, and I don't blame the whole of the entirety of the social media because for this. I think there's only this certain section of people in social media where they don't have any kind of any kind of what do you say, good intention. Especially, I think most of them have kind of a hidden agenda. They kind of push the content which is totally unnecessary on social media, and this kind of drives the younger generation into making bad decisions or kind of changing the thought process. Especially, I think so in that way I think the social media is like basically something which is on a slippery slope. I think definitely you cannot tell anything about it because it just gives you better, it just gives you benefits, because in case of a rape or any kind of an incident, social media things very spread very fast in social media. So I think in that way definitely social media has its boons as well as banes. So I think it is a very slippery slope. I think only few of these people have this kind of a bad mentality, and I think but now definitely we should not blame the entirety of the social media just because of few of these people. Yeah,
Yeah, like most of the film industry people who cover about the rape cases around, they are doing a great job as well. All the journalists and all the news channels and all the media pages must improve their content in a way which all the people get the importance about this crime, and this seriousness about this topic. So yes, now speaking about the general precautions. So
yeah,
now speaking about the precautions a woman can take while being in public, being I would like to name out some a few uh, points as we are nearing the ending. So like in there are many categories while taking precautions, like while walking, like being in public, like while driving. So like while walking, a woman must not walk alone, according to me, as they should have a companion always with them. They must argue that they are independent and they have freedom to walk alone, but we have to adapt to our surrounding situation, where each and every place you visit is not as good as you think. There might be
yeah,
problems each and every corner of our surrounding. So we don't
yeah,
know what will happen to the in the next minute to us. So like being socially aware and secure, the women's must take necessary precautions like this, and while driving they must drive carefully, and they must follow all the rules where they have to uh, avoid uh, taking these rides for
Yeah,
unknown strangers who claim for help to reach particular places. So like they have to try to avoid such strangers they meet in the roads. So
yeah,
most these are the precautions, basic precautions they have to follow to be safe. I'm not blaming, or I'm not trying to restrict their freedom or something. So they
yeah,
have to follow the system, and they have to understand how bad the surrounding is, and they have to be
definitely.
secure all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have only a few or two more points, I guess, Krishna. Like, very to sum it up briefly, I think the main fundamental thing which I wanted to kind of convey to the people listening, I think, is that especially I think the parents, especially the same thing which you highlighted earlier. I think you have to teach your child to kind of have respect, like have to learn basically kind of teach them what is respect, and I think respect is the most fundamental thing or the most minimum thing in any kind of relationship. So I think this is kind of like for the parents listening, I guess, and I think that's what I wanted to say is that teach your kid to have some kind of respect in with or have boundaries or kind of, I think respect is the most fundamental thing which you need for anything in life or to even succeed in life. And one more thing would be is that I think let's not blame the victims, because as we already talked about it earlier, it can just have a very negative impact on the society, and also it does even have this kind of a domino effect where it is going to prevent even outcome women who actually want to come up, it can even prevent them to not come up. So in that way I think this kind of has a domino effect on the society. So I think definitely we have to stop victim blaming at any cost, because this is going to keep happening over and over and over and again. I think this is not something we have to keep letting it happen. So I think in that way I think we have to completely stop victim blaming.
Yeah,
So yeah,
we
as
must not
yeah,
blame the victims, and rather we must fight together, and give voice for them to give them perfect justice they desire. And so we are nearing the end, and so my basic request is that we must not blame victims, and all the parents listening to
yeah,
this must teach their child proper manner, and how to behave with fellow beings. So yeah, this was for today's episode, guys. I hope you like it, and we would try to improve ourselves in upcoming episodes. So thank you all for listening, and let's respect women and their
yeah,
feelings and their opinions, and let them voice out their opinions, and let them have their freedom. So I
yeah,
thank everyone, each and every listener of this show, to uh, uh, follow all the basic things we said in this uh, in this podcast. And I thank you
yeah,
all again for listening so much. Thank you.
yeah, thank you all, thank you all, thank you.